Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Alice Rita, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the golden advice that I got from someone that has already finished their dissertation. And this golden advice is that you should set up your writing style before writing your thesis. And that is why I titled this tutorial, Do This Before You Write Your Thesis. If you find this tutorial useful if you watch this tutorial and you find it useful, please remember to subscribe and leave in the comment section if you are using Word document. And I know some people in the US uses like LaTeX or other software to write their dissertation. But if you are someone like me that uses Microsoft Office document, please follow me on this tutorial as I set up my setting to create a permanent writing style for the next 6 months. I can come back and change it in the next 6 months, and it can be like that for the next 2 years. Okay, so thank you to this colleague that recommended that I should do this so that I don't spend the last 2 days of writing formatting my table of context, because once this is done, you can have your automatic table of context. Why am I saying context? Contents. Pardon me. Okay, so the first thing we are going to be doing is that all these settings that I've written that we're going to be going through today, I got the guideline from my university, and I'm a student from University of Exeter. And I remember I had to quickly go to the University of Exeter homepage. And then I searched for thesis guideline. So please go to your university website and search for that. You can see this came up. Research writing and thesis requirement, presentation and thesis dissertation for degree. This is what I'm going to be clicking on. And after I've checked, carefully review this, the chapter 4, which is number 4, is what I'm looking for. So it states that my thesis should be A4 in size. It should have this 30 millimeter margin. It should be double or single space, double or 1.5 spacing. The font should be 12 and this style should be Arial. And this is just for the last part. So we are going to be using the University of Exeter's guideline to set up our writing style. So let's start with the first one, which is that we are going to be setting up the size of our paper, the margins, and also we'll be setting up the paragraph. Why is it important for us to do this? So let's go to layouts. Once you've opened your Microsoft Office document, go to layouts and then go to size. You can see if you are writing in the library, the previous user might have changed the setting, so it's important you select A4. Especially if you're working on your computer, it's even better because you won't have to. So you select A4. To define the margins, remember a 30 to the left and right, and a 20 from the top and bottom. So we go to margins, which is here in layout, margins, and you click on custom margins. The reason it's showing all this is because I've already set them up before I started recording this tutorial. So the bottom resets to be 20, which is 2 centimeter. 20 millimeter is 2 centimeter. The bottom should be 20. The left and right is required that it should be 3. As you're increasing this, you can see the text shifting inward or outward. So that's the beauty of the margin setting. And then one important part that we should do is to click default Therefore, this setting would be automatically applied to every new document that you open. So you click on default and then you click yes, and automatically that has been saved. So in less than 5 minutes, we've solved the problem of the first two tasks that we have at hand. And the last is to set up the paragraph for this section. And for us to do the setting up of the paragraph, we go to Format and select Paragraph. You can see from here the sample that it has given us. If you want to add a spacing before your paragraph or after. If it is automatic, you cannot adjust this. So if you observe, when I click this is going to determine the space. You see, it says don't add the space between paragraph of the same style. It will not add. You can see when I tick that, it means it will just continue writing. There will be no spacing. Imagine if you write your chapter 1 and then you want to start writing the description for chapter 1. They will just join together like this. But if you untick that, it's going to add that spacing. The snap to grid, that I do not really know what it is. The line spacing is double for the paragraph. And we want a 6 points before and after the for the paragraph. So after you've defined your title for the paragraph, we want this type of spacing. This one, I think I shouldn't touch it. Yes, let's just leave it here. And now I'm going to also set this as default so that paragraph. Okay, this I want it to be, because I don't, these indentations means, you know, like when you're writing a letter and you've written Dear Alice, you want to leave like maybe some space, like pressing the tab to create some space. And that's why just focus on this paragraph here. If the more I increase the left indentation, the inward the paragraph text goes inside. So I'm going to leave that as 0. And why do I want to leave it as 0? I've examined the templates from our lab and the thesis. You can see there is no indentation for beginning of any paragraph, and that is why I'll be leaving it as 0. And the one for the hanging, let's check it out. Also, I will leave it as 0. Nothing should be hanging. Okay. And I'm going to set this as default. Remember, we've added the 6 points before and after, and our line spacing is double. So I'm going to make this as default. And now it's asking me if I want to apply this setting that I've set up to this document alone. No, I'm going to be selecting base all documents on the normal template. So this is going to be my new normal template. And then when I click OK, automatically you see that even the text that I showed earlier, now it has added the double spacing to them. If we have to check now, they are all in double spacing. And earlier when I started the tutorial, they were in a single spacing. So that's the importance of setting up your styles. And now we are done with the first task in less than 10 minutes. That would have taken forever to set up when you finish writing. So the next we are going to do is to define our font. And according to my university, they want us to use Arial. So for the writing itself, we are going to be defining our fonts. And to do this, we are going to go to Format. We are going to go to Font. And the reason this is showing Arial is because I've already set this up a few days ago. If you are setting it up for the first time, it might be showing Calibri or New Times Roman, depending on the one you were using to write before now. So just select from the drop-down menu the font style that you want, the font type that you want, which is Arial. The style, normally we write with regular, and the size. Remember to choose your font color, which will be automatic, so that way all the colors for the text will be uniform across all the different document type you'll be creating before you finish writing your thesis. Remember to click on the defaults. Also tell it to base on all documents on the normal template that we are creating now. Select OK, and that way we've selected our style size as 12. The style we wanted was Arial, and the color we've also selected. You see, it's getting quicker. In less than 2 minutes, we've defined the font, the style, and our writing color, the text color. The next part, which seems to be the bottleneck of the last part of thesis writing, is these styles. With these styles, once it's already set up while you are writing, you're able to generate an automatic table of content. And this is the part where most students struggles. I struggled with this heading and everything when I was writing my master dissertation thesis, because the subsection, each time I click on the next subsection, it just changed to blue, and it drove me almost crazy. And this is why I'm obeying the advice from the senior that says set this up. Okay, so let's set this up. First, I will show you why I type this out into 4 different sections. Don't mind me. Okay, I'm going to show you why I type this out into main headings. That means like if you're typing about the main chapter, and then the section, those are the little subsection of the main chapter. So let me show you the outline from this dissertation that I examined. Oh no, this is closed. Okay, so this is, I've messed up with this file. Going to quickly open. Okay, so this is the thesis I was showing you earlier. So for this chapter 3, the main chapter is the main heading. This chapter 3 is the main heading. Why is it doing that? And the section heading is this introduction. Can you see that's a section of that's why it's 3.1. As the number of this, as the dot and the number increases, your section and subsection also increases. So this is a main chapter, the section, the subsection, and the subsection of the subsection. So this can go on and on. You can have up to 5 or 6, depending on your writing style. So I'm going to be stopping this at 4 for this tutorial. To be at the safe end, it's important that you can set up to 6 and 7, so that when you finish writing your thesis, you can have your automatic table of content. So to set up our style, I'm going to select this style pane, and when I did that, you see it brought down this window. Normally it will show you recommended, and by recommended, that is what is usually around here. But because I've set up this earlier, you can see they are in bold. So I'm going to guide you through how I set my styles up. Normally, I've shown you what these different sections are, and I've already set up 1 to 5, but I will show you the first one that I set up. So you click on this icon here. The drop down. Then you click on modify style, and you can see I've set up that I renamed this space by clicking on main chapter, so that way it adds this to the heading type, the Arial that we're working with. By default, it will show left alignment, but you click on the justify, double spacing, and you don't want to automatically update. When you do this, add it as a template. That's what you want to do, and click OK. So if you're adding number 5, which I've not done because you can see the one I've worked with are highlighted. When I put my arrow on this, you can see still showing in blue, which is the default for that particular the Microsoft default setting. So let's set this number 5 together, which is going to be like 3 sub section. We want a font in Arial. You can see that by default it was in Calibri. We want it to be in bold, the size of 12. And also remember to select the font color. This can be very annoying when you are generating your table of content and then you have this blue color. Click on automatic, or you can select black. Well, I'll click on automatic so that it updates as I walk along. And I'm going to be justifying my text so that if you see the difference, when I click on this and on this, can you see it brought this to the middle? When I click on right alignment, it brought the text to the right. And when I click on justify, it's just space out the text. And also ensure that you click on double spacing. This is 1.5 spacing if you want, or the first one, which is a single spacing. And this icon here, it's either if you want to add an extra spacing after text. So if you put your mouse on that, it shows increased paragraph spacing. If you put it on the second, it shows decreased paragraph spacing. So because we've already set up a paragraph earlier, I'm not going to be messing up with this part of the setting. And I'm going to be adding this as a template rather than as a quick style. And then I'll click OK. And you can see my number 5 is also ready. So when you open a new document, it will always show as recommended, which is like maybe just normally the first 3. And also that's what is usually shown here if you're using Windows, Microsoft on Windows PC. So if you want to find all the styles that you've defined, just click on all styles and they will all be here. And I'm going to copy some text and then test that the settings that we've generated today, it's actually useful and not just a waste of time. So let's open a new document. Let's first check the styles that we've generated. So just click on style pane. Can you see that can you see what I was talking about? By recommended, it will only show few. Don't panic, just go to all styles and all the ones that you generated will come down as a drop down menu. So if I'm starting my writing, maybe chapter 1, let's assume I want to follow the format that is here. That's just okay. 3, introduction. 3, investigating the biology of I'm just giving it the text of the rice blast fungus. And let's assume my 3.1 is how does describing what the spores looks like. And then let's assume my 3.3.31. I'm going to talk about shape. 3.3.2, maybe spore size, things like that. So just because we just want to test this to be sure that it's working. So you can see I've defined, let's assume I'm going to add spore size, and then 3.3.3.1 or 2.1. Describe shape versus size. Don't mind what I'm typing, I'm just typing whatever is coming to my head to my finger. Okay, so we need to have a text. So if I'm going to start typing, what I'm going to do is that immediately I've typed 3, 3.0. Let's assume I called it my chapter 3 and start by, let's assume this is 3.1. I shouldn't be doing copy and paste, that's dangerous. And then 3.2 is this. So immediately I finish typing my chapter 3. I'm going to go here, my main chapter, and click on update to match selection. So now that is my chapter 3. Oh, that's when I click on match main. Can you see it modified my setting? So don't make that kind of mistake that I just did. So bold and okay. So when I click on this, I'm just going to click that as my main chapter. I'm going to click this guy as my section, heading of section 2. This also is still section 2 because it's 3.2, right? And then remember what I explained earlier about the number increasing. That is going to be a subsection. This also, okay, before we start the subsection, let's assume that I wrote some things. Let's just assume they makes no sense, but because we want to, so I will just copy this like several times after each other so that we'll have something that looks like a thesis. So let's assume that's the paragraph for that, and then this section, I'm going to, it's a sub. Remember this is the fourth one. Let me look for a text to copy so that it looks more practical. Let's assume I'm copying. Okay, something short is enough. I just copy that and add it here. Match destination formatting. So it's going to match the formats that we've set up. Okay, so this is our sub of subsection, and that is going to be sub. So like 5 times sub. So this is the section 3, sub. So that's going to be sub. And now with this, I think I should copy more of this and paste so that when I click on generate table of content, let's assume we have chapter 4, so which is also 4.0, and I just copy some text so that when I click on generate table of contents, you can see that. So this is our main chapter. Okay, now let's create a table of content by going to reference, because the main purpose why we are setting this up now is because you want to be able to automatically generate your table of content. So go to custom table of content. It will show you the different formats that is available, and I think I will click on the one that is going to use the setting that I've applied for my template, and then click OK. Can you see that this has saved me the last 2 days of editing my thesis before printing? Look at that. Chapter 3, 3.1, the subsection, the main chapter. Can you see that that is perfect? So please remember to do this setting up. I know this tutorial has taken about 25 minutes of your time, but I hope it's worth your while so that when you are writing, you follow this procedure and you are not going to be having the headache of formatting or having to pay somebody to format to get your table of content. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial. And when I find something useful as I'm writing my dissertation, I'm definitely going to share with you. Until next time, bye.